Do you mind if your kid's face is in?
This one's fine.
People ask me all the time, what are you thinking about up there? And it's not, what they think. I'm usually making a grocery list or, what I need to do when I get home and things for the dogs and, I'm organizing my day.
Okay, but what are you doing? What's your body doing when you are standing up there looking like you're not doing anything?
I'm breathing very slowly, very shallow breaths, and relaxing the shoulders and releasing tension in the muscles so that I can stand very still. When you are tense, that's when you're going to get off balance. A teenager once came up to me with a sticker from like a radio station, not realizing I was real, and slammed it on my chest. Took the sticker off and slammed it on my chest. And the fair manager happened to standing there, grabbed that kid by the ear and kicked him in the butt, and it was like, "You get out of here right now." And the poor kid didn't realize that I was real. I was in a real good solid stance, so he did not knock me off the pedestal. But he was really, I don't know.
I think we're done.
Maybe he did it on purpose, but I hope he didn't.
It doesn't sound like the kind of thing that
Right. Right.
You prefer not to think that it was on purpose anyway, that when someone does something.
I do. I have, this kind of idea that the world is good and kind and wonderful, and, of course, that's a fantasy world, but, that's what you get when you dress up like a statue. You live in a fantasy world and you think in a fantasy world. Oh my God! There have been so many that scream, not realizing, and come back. That's probably the funniest thing with women. Oh my God! I get a lot of comments from men on very different levels. One of the comments I get is, "Wow, I wish you could teach my wife to stay quiet and still like that more often." And
that's not funny, is it?
That it's not, and they think it is, and it's very interesting. I used to work with a statue partner, and this is one of the funny stories at a fair, and he was French, and we were at the North Carolina State Fair, and the guy across from us in the food stand was talking about pie. We got apple pie, we got chocolate pie, we got sweet potato pie. And later he said to me, my French partner said, "What is this sweet potato pie?" And I said, "Oh, it's the orange potato." And he goes, "Oh, we don't eat that in France. We feed it to the pigs." And he said, "I got to try this sweet potato pie." And so we go, and it's one of the church groups that have their stands at the fair, and he goes in dressed like a statue, and he announces, "I want to have a sweet potato pie." And of course they're all fascinated, but he's trying to imitate the Southern accent with a French accent, and it was very funny. And he stood in there dressed like a statue eating sweet potato pie. The ones who come up to me, and in fact it happened yesterday here at the Wisconsin State Fair, he was in a wheelchair and he couldn't move his hands up. So I reached down and took his hand, and he came alive a little, you know. His eyes opened and he looked up at me, and you could tell, you know, that he was affected, you know, by it, and that he was feeling some joy, and that was really great, you know. Those are little moments that I just really love. The girl, I remember, there's a long time, it's been in a festival, and she had seen me the year before, but she was a little bit younger, and she had wanted to come up and get up there on the pedestal with me, you know. And so when we took the picture, her mother told me, oh, she's been wanting, all she's talked about is to see the statue again. And I had no idea she'd been, you know, that enamored with the statue when I picked her up and put her up on the pedestal with me. So that was really great that, you know, just by chance, you know, it was that little girl that had really wanted to see the statue again.
Were you both actually
on the pedestal?
You're all 4 feet?
I a lot of times pick kids up and put them up onto the pedestal with me to pose.
I'm gonna launch this baby over 10 feet above my head, and I'm gonna catch it right back on the string. Hopefully. I'm really gonna do it.
All right.
Did I hear that spontaneous request from the audience for higher? Higher! A spontaneous request. All right, this time really high. This time more than 20 feet above my head and right back to the string. Really, really high this time. All right, really, really, really high this time, more than 25 feet, way above my head and right back to the string. Really, really, really high. Higher? Higher? Okay, but remember, you asked for it.
My father was in the German Air Force. He was a photographer in the Air Force. My mother was, you know, just a citizen in Germany during the war. They were both 16 and 17 when the war started. So they grew up in a horrible, horrible time. The time in Germany during the war was bad, and after the war was just terrible, terrible, terrible. You know, my father, the hardest thing for my dad, he was in a prisoner of war camp, in an American prisoner of war camp for a year. Most people don't know this, but over 1 million German soldiers died in American prisoner of war camps after the war was over. My father was not a Nazi, he was not a party member, but he was a German citizen. So yes, technically
he had to go into the war. He didn't have any choice.
There was no choice. You're absolutely right. He was drafted. He was at 17. He was into college, and they took him out of school and put him in the armed forces, in the Air Force, and said, "Oh, you know how to work a camera? You're a photographer."
And the students have heard interviews where they find out that one of my uncles, a German, but was fighting on this side, felt terrible when he was fighting for our side and killed fellow Germans on the other side.
I know, and my father especially has tremendous guilt and regrets over, you know, what happened in Germany during the war, and you know the atrocities that were committed by the Germans are just really horrific.
And he's an American citizen.
Oh yeah, they became Americanized in 1956, the year that I was born.
How interesting, huh? Is that interesting?
It is, I think so, and it's really good to get the perspective of, you know, I think I can relate to immigrants, because in my neighborhood when I was growing up, people laughed at my mom all the time because she had such a heavy German accent. You know, she couldn't speak English right. And when I was growing up, there was still a lot of hatred towards Germany.
Ladies and gentlemen, the higher I launch it, the further out of my control it's going to be. The greater the chances are that it's not going to come straight back down onto the string. Instead, fly out and gush an innocent child in the front.